I'm back! So it took me a very long time to make this skirt from the series of Patternmagic 1 and 2 DIY. Simple, basic, plain skirt with pockets. Yes, you are. Why did it take me so long to actually make the third part of it? Well, mainly because I started my third year in fashion technology in Ghent, so I could get a degree, and I am currently graduated, looking for a job. So if you know anyone who wants someone like me, please let me know in the comments. I really need a job. But the last year was pretty stressful. It had a lot of things that needed to be done. I needed to go on an internship. So I did my internship. It was very difficult, but also very fun to do. I had a blast. I met a lot of great people in the fashion industry, so I'm very glad that I did that. But it was very stressful, and it didn't leave me a lot of time to sew for myself. And then when my internship ended, I needed to write my bachelor thesis, so I really had not a lot of time on hands because I needed to do that. So I graduated in June, and then you thought, well, you graduated in June, well, we are 4 months further. Well, that is true, dear person on the other end. The comment section. I wanted to take a break from the fashion world after my internship because of a lot of hardships that I had then. I also became very ill, where I had to really look after myself first before I could do anything else. And thus I took a very long vacation of 3 months where I really focused on myself, on my health, and on my self-care, which is very important. And now I'm back. I'm very happy to announce that this series is finally going to go well, and I'm going to put a lot of effort in it because I'm currently unemployed, so I have a lot of free time and a lot of motivation to actually make something great like this skirt, for example. So if you want to know how to make this beautiful skirt, let's get on into the video, and I will explain everything to you so you can create your own versions of this skirt. So this is my base fabric. I have folded it in half. The good side is on the inside and the wrong side is facing upwards. It is very important to have your fabric folded because we only made half of our pattern. So remember that we have our front pattern, and here we didn't have any seam allowance, and that is because we're going to place it right on the fold of the fabric. And thus, if we cut it out and you fold it open, you have two pieces that are identically the same. And that's what we're going for. We want symmetry. Then I have my waistband, and I need 2 of those. But as you can see, my waistband is kind of long, and if I cut it, it kind of fits perfectly, but then I have like this white piece with it, and it's not that nice if you can see it. Not that you can, because it's inside your seam allowance, so that's not really a problem, but it's not a very good look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in half and place it on the fold, so it is the same with the front. If you fold it open, you have 1 piece, and I'm just going to cut it 2 times so that I have 2 times my waistband. What I'm going to do next is place some markings. Markings are important because they are going to tell you where everything is. So important markings are always the ends of your dots, because otherwise you're not gonna know when to stop, and the beginnings of your dots, so you know where to begin. Also, the end of your zipper is important, as well as here the end of the dot in the front and the side panel. Alright, so we're going to start with our pin tucks, and what we need for that is our 2 pockets in lining, our 2 pin tucks, the pocket mouth, and our side panel. What we're first going to do is iron the pin tucks by folding them in half. So this is the wrong side and you're just gonna fold them like so. So now that we have folded our pin tuck in half, we are going to place this one like so on the bottom half, because it's going to fold upward and then you can put your hand in it, which gives it a very nice finish. The other one is going to go opposite of it, and you're going to place them that there is almost no space in between them. And you're going to stitch on a ½ centimeter from the beginning of the marking all the way to the end of the marking, and do that also on the other side. So the opening will be 1 centimeter wide and the pin tuck is also 1 centimeter wide after you have stitched the pin tuck. So now we have something like this, and we are going to cut into right in the middle of the 2 we just stitched on, and you have to make sure that you do not cut into these. You're going to cut all the way to the marking, but stop 1 centimeter right before it. And we're going to do so because we want to go in like this to create a kind of V shape. So you're going to cut right into your fabric all the way to the end of your stitching, so you can have a sort of V-shaped part that you're going to use to stitch this part onto, which is very important because that secures the pocket. So this is the opening we have now created. You can definitely see the V hanging there, and now we're just going to fold it into the other side. So this one has to go here, and that one can go like so. Eventually your pin tuck will look something like this when you ironed everything down, and the back side will look like that. To secure the pocket, we are going to stitch the V shape that we created onto our pin tuck and our pin tuck alone. It is not that easy to do so. You need to fold everything out of the way so that you only see your pin tuck and the V shape, and then going to stitch right at the fold of your fabric so that you secure it with a nice corner. So the next step is placing the lining fabric, the small one, against the pocket mouth with the right sides together, and then you're going to stitch it on at 1 centimeter. It is important that you place everything out of the way before you stitch, so you do not stitch onto your pin tuck or the base fabric. Alright, so the next step is stop stitching our pocket mount. Of course, this step is optional, but it is easier to secure the seam that way. So you're just gonna top stitch at 0.1 centimeters away from the lining fabric. So next thing we're going to do is place the large part of our lining pockets onto the right side of our pin tuck, and then we are going to sew it shut by sewing it 0.5 centimeters. It's a bit tricky because this part is already sewn onto our base fabric, so we do not have a lot of space to work with. Apparently both of the lining fabrics are not the same size, so I'm just going to recut them using the smaller one as a template. Then I'm going to sew everything together, the pocket mouth with the pin tucks as well as the lining materials, by going around with a normal stitch at a distance of 1 centimeter and with a zigzag stitch, so there won't be any fraying, and thus our pocket is complete. After we have placed the pockets, we are going to sew the side panels onto the front. So we're going to fold this one open. So this is the right side, and the right side, and we are going to place them like this. Put the pocket out of the way, and then you're going to sew all the way from the bottom to the top and place the marking points onto each other, so you know that it is the right length and everything is in right proportion with each other. When you do one side, you can do the other side, place the pocket out of the way, exactly the same. Sew it all together, and then you will have half of the garment already completed. So from this point onwards, it's going to go a little bit faster because there will be less difficult things to sew. So after one side is done, you can do the other side. Don't forget to place the pocket out of the way, and the result will be something like this from the back and something like this from the front. So now we're going to sew the darts in the back of our garments, but of course when you take the paper off, you do not see the darts anymore. That's why it's always important to leave some markings here in the beginning too, and one at the end. That's very important. So also on the other side you have 2 and 1 at the end. So you're gonna take 1, so this is the good side, the right side of our garment. So what we're going to do is we're going to place right sides together on the markings, and then we're going to find our end point, and we're going to sew in a straight line from the beginning of our markings all the way until the end point. So it's a straight line, and you're gonna stop right here, go off the garments, and then sew a little bit further so the threads will entangle with each other and the dart will be secured. After sewing both your darts in both your back panels, the result will look like this from the back and from the right side of the fabric. Actually, when you're making a skirt, you're sewing the zipper in quite early on, but since we are going to sew the zipper inside the waistband also, we're gonna do that at the very end actually. So what we're first gonna do is we're going to sew the back seam together. So we have a marking together where we are going to sew it close, and the rest we're going to leave open for the zipper. So you're just gonna place the back piece right sides together, markings on each other, and you're going to sew it shut. The center back piece is 2 centimeters instead of 1, so don't forget that when you sew it close. Eventually your center back piece will look something like this. Don't forget to go back and iron all your seams open, this way your garment will stay flat. So now we have a front and a back panel, and we're going to sew the side seams shut. So we are going to place the front on the back, like so, and we're going to sew this side as well as this side. And then we still have this piece to step into, so that's going to be our opening for now. What I did was put this skirt on and then did as if the zipper was closed up, so I put some pins in the back, but in the front, as you can see, it is gaping a little bit, so we do have to put in either on the sides or here. If you, however, find it right now that it is too small, you actually can go and sew a little bit into the side seams. Instead of having a 1 centimeter seam, you can have a half one, 0.75 centimeters. So it's give you a little bit more room for when it's too small. But for me, it's obviously a little bit too big. So if you, however, want your waistband to sit exactly at the waist, you're just gonna pull it a little bit down so that the waistband will actually sit at your own waist. I do not particularly mind it if my waistband would be my actual waist, because then I have to take in less, so I think that's what I'm gonna do. But keep in mind that lowering it can make it so that the hip line is actually lower than your actual hips, so that's why it's not recommended to do that. But I'm gonna do it anyway, so that I have less trouble with the size of my skirt. I am gonna take some pins and gonna pin it a little more, just so, but I'm gonna make sure that there is a centimeter or two below the waistline. So that's what I'm going to do. So what I did now is just pin a half and a half, so 1 centimeter in total, to be taken away from the top all the way down to the end of our marking where our dart ended. I'm gonna do that to take in some of the excess fabric around the Valley of Noah. I was gonna pin it from the sides, but I do have enough excess fabric to do it here and not mess up our pockets. So you can see lowering my waistline really did help getting rid of some extra fabric around my waist. I want to stress that this is not exactly the right way to do it, because if you lower it, you're gonna also lower your hip line as well, and then maybe the widest part is actually below your hips, so it can be that the skirt will rise up if your hip line is not at the exact height that you actually want it to be. But I lowered it 2 centimeters, so my hip line was lowered 2 centimeters, and that it is acceptable to do it like so. Always remember that if you get rid of some extra centimeters, you also have to cut that away from your waistband, because it has to fit around your waist entirely. So when we're going to have our waistband with us, it should hopefully fit all the way around. And then we have still some extra fabric. As you can see, we still have some extra fabric here for the zipper that we can cut off if needs be. So yeah, so the actual waist line from our skirt will be 1 centimeter above our waistline. We still have to double this one, so it's gonna be a little bit down. So this will actually be the finished look. When we have fitted our skirt, we are now going to stitch on our waistband. It is fairly easy to do so. You're just going to fold the waistband in half and place a marking at the fold.
Next, you're going to do the same with your skirt and then place the two markings on top of each other, right sides facing each other. Then you're going to pin all the way around the waistband, and don't forget to unfold the seam of the zipper so that we can sew the waistband on without the zipper being folded, because we are going to stitch it onto our waistband, and thus we do need those extra seam allowance.
So these are the pieces that we need next. We have a front and a back pattern as well as a waistband. The first thing we're going to do is sew the darts together, and we're immediately going to make this one a little bit wider so it will fit the subtracted dart from our original skirt. Of course, you do not have to do it if you did not need to change anything on your pattern, so we just need to make sure that everything fits properly. So that's what we're going to do next. We're just sewing the darts together. Okay, so next we're going to do the side seams. So it's exactly the same as we did with our base fabric. You're just going to place the side seams right on top of each other and just sew them up like so. So right sides together, and on 1 centimeter you're going to sew them together as well with the other piece. So before we're going to stitch our waistband on, we are going to stitch this small part of the back seam like we did in the base fabric. So we have our opening of the zipper. So you place the right sides together like so, and you're gonna stitch from this marking right here all the way down to the bottom like this. And this was 2 centimeters, so don't forget to stitch it on 2 centimeters instead of 1 centimeter, and then we're going to fold it open. So now we're going to do the waistband. It is exactly the same way as we did it in the base fabric. So we're going to place a marking. This is the right side. Then we're going to fold it in half, place a marking, put right sides together, markings onto each other, then go all the way around. Don't forget that you actually have to fold this part open when you sew it. It's important that it's not folded when you sew the waistband on. It's the same as in the base fabric. Okay, so the zipper is a bit tricky. For starters, we are going to use our base fabric for our zipper. And what you're going to do, I've placed it right here. So actually, the zipper will come like so. So you cannot really see it. That's why it's called a blind zipper. So you really have to place it with the teeth of the zipper straight onto the edge of your fold. What you're going to do while you sew is you're going to pull open the teeth and sew right in between the fold that is inside the zipper teeth. So that's very important, and in doing so you need a special foot for your machine. If you do not have it, it is harder to stitch a zipper like this, but you can manage. It will not be as pretty, but with a normal foot of your machine, you actually are able to sew in a zipper like this. So I will demonstrate how I did it.
So what you're going to do is unfold the seam allowance and place the teeth against the fold. I first pinned the other side and then I pinned the left side of the skirt so that I could see how the zipper would look like. Also important is when you're going to stitch, you unfold your fabric so that you do not have a stitch on the right side of your fabric. We do not want to see that. So when you stitch it right in between the fold of the teeth and the zipper fabric, you will sew it in such a way that the zipper will always fold in the right direction. So that's what we're going to do. Before sewing this side of your zipper leg, zip it up first to see if it's nice and flat. As you can see right here, I can move the feet a little bit more to the side so that it is covered up more. When you eventually sew it in, so right now I have some pins in it. Let's see if I can open it. Yeah, well. Also make sure, let's see if you can actually see it. I'm gonna zoom in on it. Yeah. So make sure that when you sew your zipper closed, you leave a little bit of space in between so you can actually put your zipper. There's a needle in the way. So you can actually put your zipper down through this hole. Be careful when doing so. So you can pull it a little bit down so your zipper enclosure is hidden. You need to do that because when we are going to sew up our lining fabric, we do need a little bit of space to pull it right back up. So right now I'm going to stitch it. I'm going to do it by unfolding it and stitching it exactly the same way when I did last time, but I'm gonna stop here on this needle so I have an opening. Eventually this opening is going to close, so do not worry about it if you make it too big because we're going to close it eventually. Alright, so I'm gonna sew it up and then I'm going to come back for the lining fabric. Before we are going to stitch the lining fabric onto our zipper, we're first going to double our waistband. This is an easy step. You're just going to place the waistband's right sides together and then stitch it at the top at 1 centimeter away from the edge of the waistband. Next, we are going to top stitch it down so that the waistband will lay flat. So one of the last steps is placing our lining fabric against our base fabric so we can sew the zipper. The way that we sewed our waistband together is going to guide us how to sew our zipper. We're just going to fold open the seam allowance of our zipper and we're placing them right sides together. Next, you're going to sew 0.1 centimeters away from the first line that we did to sew our zipper in. This way we won't stitch onto our zipper. So when you did that, you're going to do the whole zipper. So you're going to go right until you find your marking again. And don't forget to leave one side a little bit open so we can pull our zipper head back through the opening that we created. So when you turn your skirt back around, you'll see that your corners are still inside out. You just need to pull them a little bit so that they're nice. And if they do not want to come out, you can go back in and cut a little bit of the excess fabric off so that it will become a nice corner. And then you can go in, find your zipper. So I do have a large opening, so it's easy to find my zipper and pull it back up. You do have a little hole here, but you can touch that up just fine by just using a needle and a thread
to sew up the hole again. It won't be visible. And the only thing that we need to do now is sew the waistband close so that it won't be opening anymore. And you're just going to top stitch 1 millimeter above this line and then go all the way around so that the waistband is actually pretty secure. And then our skirt is actually finished, except for the hem. Aww. So the seam we took for the hemline is 4 centimeters. So what we are going to do, we take our measuring device and we are going to fold it inwards 2 centimeters, then fold it again, and that also has to be 2 centimeters. I'm going to do that all the way so you have a nice beautiful straight hem, and you're going to stitch it 1.5 centimeters above the edge here, so it would be nice and secure, and so your stitch will be around here in your actual skirt. Then for the lining skirt, of course, it also has need of a hem. You can see it by all these loose threads that actually should not be there anyway. So what you're going to do here, this hemline is 2 centimeters seam, so you're just gonna use your measuring device, go up by 1 and then again 1. So the hemline will actually be on the other side, facing the wrong side of the skirt, so you do not because your legs will be here inside the skirt, of course, then you won't feel like rubbing against your legs when you step. So that's actually really easy. So this one you're gonna fold inwards and this one you're gonna fold upwards. So that's what you need to do. And with the lining material, when you stitch it one on one, you're just gonna stitch it right in down the middle, so 0.5 centimeters, so it's down the center of the skirt.
One eternity later.
So we finally made it! Yay! We finally made this beautiful piece of garment, which I am really happy with. As you can see, I think it fits me really well. I am happy that I decided to make the waistband come out lower than I want it to be, because the pockets are now at a very comfortable height. And for the final result, I will put my blazer on, so we can see what it actually looks like with the two pieces on. I have not looked at it myself, so excuse me for my rudeness. Let's see. When you put on the blazer, you are going to lose those pockets, but you still can kind of use them. It does look kind of weird because the blazer already has pockets, but they're at such an awkward height. I do not know why, but I really do not like it when my hands go above my waist for resting inside the pockets. Does that make sense? Anyway, I did not design this blazer myself, but I really do like it. This blazer was a creation that I needed to make for school. That's why I had so much fabric left over, because if I made a mistake for school, I could start over. So yeah, this is the result. I know it's very classic, it's very business style woman. I do feel a little older right now when I'm wearing this. But you can also just use the skirt alone with a high turtleneck, or maybe you can dress it down a little bit with a sweater and stuff like that, because it's a classic skirt. You can do really anything with it. If you made it in a different kind of fabric, like if you made it in jeans or you made it in a more stretchy material or anything like that, it is gonna look very different. It's gonna look more edgy, it's looking more street style than the business style. So I'm really looking forward for your guys' creations. You can send it to me via Instagram. I'm definitely gonna reply to them and look at them. But you can also use the hashtag Lori's Closet or hashtag DIY Lori. And I will definitely check those out. And yeah, so send it to me, use those hashtags, and like this video if you want more content like this. I'm very happy to be back, and I am hoping that I won't wait this long to make another video. So yeah guys, I hope I see you next time with a new project. What are we going to do for a new project? Well, I do believe that it's not gonna be a Patternmagic video. I am thinking about altering a few clothes of mine because I lost a few pounds. So I really want to make sure that my clothes fit me perfectly. So I will do a few alteration videos, which are also going to be quite fun to watch. So yeah, looking forward to maybe next week or the week after with a new video. So I hope I see you guys soon. So bye!